with their advanced civilization. But something unexpected happened. Dr. Chen wasn't overwhelmed, he was fascinated. When Lyralii showed him their quantum displacement drives, he asked penetrating questions about efficiency ratios that she couldn't answer. When Zara demonstrated their economic modeling systems, he pointed out algorithmic blind spots that had been plaguing their trade calculations for decades. Nasara found herself in heated debates about theoretical physics that challenged assumptions she'd held for centuries. Even Kithra discovered that Dr. Chen's insights into interspecies communication revealed nuances in their diplomatic protocols that they'd never considered. Most disturbing of all, King Valdris seemed genuinely interested in the humans' observations. The ancient ruler, who had lived for over 3,000 years, spent hours in private conversation with Dr. Chen, discussing everything from planetary management to the philosophical implications of mortality. The princess's amusement began to curdle into resentment. This primitive human was making them look foolish in front of their own father, and they didn't appreciate the experience. Everything changed when King Valdris summoned the court for an emergency assembly. The ancient monarch, his crystalline skin dim with exhaustion, announced that his millennia-long life was finally nearing its end. The princesses felt their worlds shift, their immortal father dying? It seemed impossible. "I have made arrangements for the succession," Valdris declared, his voice echoing through the vast hall. "But first, I must address a debt of honor." He gestured toward Dr. Chen, who looked as surprised as everyone else in the room. 3 centuries ago, a human named Elena Vasquez saved my life during the siege of Alpha Centauri. She asked for nothing in return, but I swore an oath that the debt would be repaid. Dr. Chen is her descendant. The king's next words sent shockwaves through the entire empire. "As payment of this debt and in recognition of the wisdom he has already brought to our court, I hereby bequeath the guardianship of my 4 daughters to Dr. Samuel Chen of Earth. They shall serve as his advisors and companions until such time as he deems them ready to rule in their own right." The silence that followed was deafening. The 4 most powerful women in the galaxy had just been inherited by a human they'd been mocking for weeks. Lyralii was the first to find her voice. "Father, surely you jest. We are princesses of the realm, not property to be gifted." "You are my daughters," Valdris replied firmly, "and you have much to learn about leadership. Dr. Chen has shown more wisdom in 2 weeks than any of you have demonstrated in 2 centuries. You will learn from him, or you will forfeit your rights to the throne." The weeks that followed were the most humbling of the princesses' lives. Dr. Chen, to his credit, never lorded his unexpected authority over them. Instead the 4 princesses of Velethria had always considered themselves the pinnacle of galactic sophistication. Princess Lyralii, with her flowing silver hair and ice-blue skin, commanded the Empire's stellar fleets. Princess Zara, whose golden skin shimmered with embedded nanocircuits, controlled the vast trade networks. Princess Nasara, dark-skinned with bioluminescent tattoos, governed the scientific academies. And Princess Kithra, pale green with crystalline growths along her arms, managed the Empire's diplomatic relations. Together, they ruled over 300 star systems, commanded fleets that could shatter planets, and possessed technology that made faster-than-light travel seem primitive. So when their father, King Valdris the Eternal, announced that a delegation from Earth would be visiting their capital world, the princesses could barely contain their amusement. "Earth?" Lyralii had laughed, her voice like tinkling crystal. "That backward little mud ball where the primitives still use chemical rockets? I heard they only just discovered quantum mechanics," Zara added with a smirk, her golden features gleaming with condescension. "How adorable." Nasara, ever the intellectual, pulled up holographic data about Earth's technological development. "According to our sensors, they haven't even achieved basic cellular regeneration. Their lifespans are laughably short." Kithra nodded sagely. "Father must be feeling charitable. Perhaps we can gift them some basic fusion technology before sending them back to their little solar system." The delegation from Earth consisted of exactly 1 person, Dr. Samuel Chen, a xenobiologist and engineer who had spent his career studying alien artifacts found in Earth's solar system. He was 42 years old, average height, with graying hair and the kind of intense focus that came from decades of meticulous research. To the princesses, he looked exactly like what they expected from a primitive species, unremarkable and unimpressive. The formal reception took place in the Grand Crystal Hall, where visiting dignitaries typically offered tribute to the Velethrian crown. The princesses sat on their elevated thrones, expecting the usual ceremony of subservience and awe. Instead, Dr. Chen approached with calm confidence, bowed respectfully but not servilely, and spoke in perfect Velethrian. Your Majesties, I bring greetings from Earth and an invitation for cultural and scientific exchange. Lyralii barely suppressed a giggle. How quaint. Tell us, Earth-human, what could your species possibly offer the Velithrian Empire? Dr. Chen's response was measured and thoughtful. We offer perspective, Your Highness. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come from viewing familiar problems through unfamiliar eyes, could most thoroughly overwhelm the primitive human. The princesses exchanged amused glances. Over the following days, they took turns showing Dr. Chen around their empire, each secretly competing to see who treated them as the intelligent, capable individuals they were, while gently pointing out the blind spots that unlimited power had created. He showed Lyralii how her fleet strategies, while technically perfect, failed to account for the human cost of warfare. He helped Zara understand that economic efficiency meant nothing if it created suffering among their subjects. He taught Nasara that knowledge without wisdom was merely dangerous data. And he helped Kithara realize that true diplomacy required empathy, not just protocol. Most importantly, he introduced them to the concept that had made humanity resilient despite their technological limitations. The idea that struggle and mortality created meaning, and that true strength came not from power, but from the choice to use that power responsibly. 6 months later, when King Valdris finally passed into the eternal crystal sleep of his ancestors, the 4 princesses stood beside Dr. Chen at the funeral ceremony. They were changed. No longer the arrogant rulers who had mocked Earth, but thoughtful leaders who understood that wisdom could come from the most unexpected sources. So, Lyralii asked quietly as they watched their father's crystalline form dissolve into pure energy, what happens now? Dr. Chen smiled, the same patient expression he'd worn since his arrival. Now you return to your duties as rulers of the Velithrian Empire. But perhaps with a new perspective on what it means to lead. Zara stepped forward, her golden skin gleaming with something that might have been respect. And what of you, Dr. Chen? Will you return to Earth? Eventually, he replied. But I think I'll stay a while longer. After all, I have 4 very capable advisors who might enjoy learning more about that primitive little planet that produced such stubborn perspectives. For the first time since their father's death, all 4 princesses smiled. They had learned the most valuable lesson of their lives. That true nobility came not from the accident of birth or the power of technology, but from the humility to recognize wisdom wherever it might be found, even from a species they had once dismissed as primitive. The human who had inherited 4 princesses had given them something far more valuable in return, the knowledge that the universe was vast enough for everyone to learn from everyone else.